and Finn was already hitting peak meltdown. "Sure, buddy, shhh," Leo murmured, rocking him gently. He bounced on the balls of his feet, his gaze darting around the crowded gate. He could feel the weight of curious, and sometimes impatient, stares. A young woman with noise-canceling headphones gave him a sympathetic, albeit slightly pained, smile. An older man across the aisle sighed audibly, his newspaper rustling with disapproval. The guilt gnawed at Leo. He was disrupting everyone's journey. He was failing at this. Sarah would have known what to do. Sarah had a magic touch with Finn, a calming presence that could soothe him with a single glance. Leo felt a familiar pang of grief, sharp and sudden, like a physical blow. He tried everything. He offered Finn his favorite soft elephant, which was promptly flung to the floor. He sang a shaky rendition of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, his voice cracking with fatigue and emotion. He even attempted a silly face, which only seemed to intensify Finn's cries. The flight attendants began ushering passengers onto the plane. Leo's stomach churned. The thought of being trapped in a confined space for 5 hours with a screaming baby was his worst nightmare. He imagined the glares, the hushed complaints, the sheer awkwardness of it all. He shuffled onto the plane, his shoulders slumped, feeling like the most incompetent father in the world. He found his assigned seat, a window seat in the middle of the plane. As he wrestled with the seatbelt while still holding Finn, a wave of nausea washed over him. "Need a hand?" a voice offered. Leo looked up to see a woman standing in the aisle, her expression kind. She had warm brown eyes and a gentle smile. "Oh, yes, please," Leo mumbled, feeling a flush of embarrassment creep up his neck. The woman helped him secure Finn's infant seat and then assisted him with his own seatbelt. "It's tough traveling with little ones," she said, her voice soft and understanding. "My name is Amelia, by the way." "Leo," he replied, managing a weak smile. "And this is Finn." Amelia leaned closer to Finn, who was still whimpering, though his cries had subsided slightly. "He's a cutie," she said, her gaze genuinely admiring. "Just a little overwhelmed, I bet." Leo nodded, relief washing over him at her non-judgmental demeanor. "That's an understatement." As the plane taxied towards the runway, Finn's cries escalated again. The change in engine noise, the unfamiliar vibrations, it was all too much for him. Leo bounced him, swayed him, whispered soothing words, but nothing seemed to work. He felt the weight of the other passengers' attention intensify. A businessman in the seat in front of him sighed dramatically and adjusted his noise-canceling headphones. Leo's heart sank. This was going to be a long flight. The first hour of the flight was a blur of tears, mostly Finn's, but Leo felt like his own were not far behind. He walked the aisle, bouncing Finn, trying to distract him with the changing scenery outside the window, but the darkness only seemed to amplify his distress. He offered Finn a bottle, which he batted away with surprising force. He tried a teething toy, which was promptly thrown onto the floor. He felt utterly helpless, his carefully laid plans dissolving into a puddle of baby tears and parental despair. Amelia, who was seated in the aisle seat next to him, watched with quiet empathy. She didn't offer unsolicited advice or make him feel like he was doing something wrong. Instead, she simply observed, her presence a silent offering of support. Finally, as Finn's cries reached a fever pitch, Amelia leaned over. "Would you mind if I tried something?" she asked gently. Leo, desperate for any solution, readily agreed. "Please, anything." Amelia reached into her carry-on bag and pulled out a small, brightly colored board book. It featured simple illustrations of animals and made soft crinkling sounds when the pages were turned. "Sometimes, a little distraction is all they need," she said, holding the book in front of Finn. To Leo's astonishment, Finn's crying began to subside. His wide blue eyes focused on the colorful pictures, his tiny hand reaching out to touch the crinkly pages. A small, hiccuping sob escaped his lips, but the full-blown wail had stopped. Leo watched, a wave of gratitude washing over him. He felt a lump forming in his throat. This stranger, this kind woman, had managed to do what he couldn't. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you so much." Amelia smiled. "You're welcome. It's tough. I remember those days. As Finn remained captivated by the book, Amelia started talking to Leo. She asked about Finn, about his age, his favorite things. She shared stories about her own children, who were now teenagers. She spoke with a calm and reassuring tone that helped to ease Leo's frayed nerves. He found himself opening up to her, sharing his story about Sarah, about the overwhelming grief and the daunting task of raising Finn alone. He hadn't realized how much he needed to talk, to voice his fears and anxieties to someone who understood, or at least, was willing to listen without judgment. Amelia listened patiently, her eyes filled with compassion. When he finished, she placed a comforting hand on his arm. "You're doing a wonderful job, Leo," she said softly. "It's the hardest job in the world, especially when you're going through so much. Don't be so hard on yourself." Her words were like a balm to his wounded soul. He realized how much he had been internalizing his struggles, feeling like he had to be strong and stoic for Finn's sake. Amelia's simple affirmation gave him a much-needed sense of validation. For the next few hours, Amelia became an unexpected ally. She helped Leo entertain Finn, taking turns holding him, reading to him, and even managing to get him to take a short nap in his lap. She shared her snacks with Leo, ensuring he had something to eat amidst the chaos. She told him about her work as a kindergarten teacher, her passion for helping young children learn and grow. She spoke with warmth and enthusiasm, and Leo found himself genuinely enjoying her company. He learned that Amelia was traveling to Boston to visit her sister, who was recovering from surgery. She showed him pictures of her children, a son in college and a daughter in high school, their faces beaming with youthful energy. As the flight progressed, the atmosphere around them seemed to shift. The initial tension and impatience from the other passengers had dissipated, replaced by a sense of quiet understanding. Some even offered small smiles of encouragement as Leo walked Finn up and down the aisle. It was as if Amelia's kindness had created a small bubble of empathy within the confines of the airplane cabin, a reminder that even in the most stressful of situations, humanity could prevail. Just as Leo began to feel a sense of cautious optimism, the plane hit a patch of unexpected turbulence. The seatbelt sign flashed on, and the aircraft began to shake and bump. Finn, who had been dozing peacefully in Amelia's arms, stirred and started to whimper. Leo's heart pounded in his chest. He hated turbulence, even before Sarah's passing. Now, every unexpected jolt sent a wave of fear through him, a stark reminder of the unpredictability of life. Finn's whimpers quickly escalated into full-blown cries, his little body trembling. Leo reached for him, his own hands shaking. The turbulence seemed to mirror the turmoil within him, the raw grief and anxiety that he tried so hard to keep at bay. Amelia's hand found his, her touch firm and reassuring. "It's okay, Leo," she said calmly. "It's just a bit bumpy. It will pass." But Finn was inconsolable. The shaking of the plane, combined with his lingering fatigue, had pushed him over the edge. His cries were filled with fear and distress, and Leo felt a surge of helplessness. He held Finn close, rocking him tightly, whispering soothing words, but nothing seemed to penetrate his panic. Leo looked around at the other passengers, their faces etched with concern. He felt a familiar wave of guilt and embarrassment. Suddenly, the plane lurched violently, and an oxygen mask dropped down in front of Leo. His eyes widened in alarm. The cabin crew began making announcements, their voices calm but firm. "Remain seated with your seatbelts fastened. If an oxygen mask has deployed, place it over your nose and mouth and breathe normally." Leo fumbled with the mask, his hands clumsy with fear. Amelia helped him secure it over his face. Then she gently guided his hands to Finn's smaller mask, which had also deployed. "It's okay, buddy," Leo murmured to Finn, his voice muffled by the mask. "Daddy's here. We're okay." But Finn was terrified. He thrashed in Leo's arms, trying to push the mask away. Leo held him tight, his own breathing shallow and rapid. He looked at Amelia, her eyes filled with concern. "He's scared," Leo mouthed, his voice trembling. Amelia nodded. She reached over and gently stroked Finn's back, her touch surprisingly calming. She started to hum a soft lullaby, the melody barely audible over the roar of the engines and Finn's cries. Slowly, miraculously, Finn's thrashing began to subside. He focused his wide, tear-filled eyes on Amelia, his breathing becoming a little less ragged. Leo felt a wave of relief wash over him. The turbulence continued for what felt like an eternity, but with Amelia's calm presence and gentle ministrations, Finn gradually began to settle down. He remained nestled in Leo's arms, his small body still trembling slightly, but the frantic cries had stopped. As the plane finally emerged from the turbulence, a collective sigh of relief swept through the cabin. The oxygen masks retracted, and the flight attendants began to reassure the passengers. Leo took a deep breath, the air feeling strangely clean and fresh after the ordeal. He looked at Amelia, his heart filled with gratitude. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice hoarse. "You were amazing." Amelia smiled gently. "We all need a little help sometimes, Leo, especially when things get a little bumpy." The shared experience of the turbulence had created an even deeper connection between them. They had faced a moment of fear and vulnerability together, and Amelia's calm strength had been a lifeline for both Leo and Finn. For the remainder of the flight, a comfortable silence settled between Leo and Amelia. Finn eventually drifted off to sleep in Leo's arms, his small face peaceful. Leo watched him, a profound sense of love and protectiveness washing over him. He thought about Sarah, about how much she would have appreciated Amelia's kindness. He imagined her smiling down at them, a sense of warmth spreading through his chest. As the plane began its descent into Boston, Amelia gently nudged Leo. "He's out like a light," she said with a smile. Leo nodded, a bittersweet feeling in his heart. He knew that their time together was coming to an end. "Thank you again, Amelia," he said, his voice sincere. "You have no idea how much you helped me today. I honestly don't know what I would have done without you." Amelia waved a dismissive hand. "Don't mention it, Leo. It was my pleasure. And honestly, it reminded me of when my own kids were little. It goes by so fast. Cherish these moments, even the chaotic ones." As they gathered their belongings, Leo felt a pang of sadness at the thought of saying goodbye. He had only known Amelia for a few hours, but she had made a profound impact on him. Her kindness had not only eased his journey, but had also reminded him that there was still goodness in the world, even in the face of grief and hardship. Would you mind if I got your number?" Leo asked hesitantly. "I'd love to buy you a coffee or something to thank you properly." Amelia's eyes twinkled. "I'd like that very much, Leo." They exchanged numbers, a small piece of paper holding the promise of a continued connection. As they deplaned, Amelia walked alongside Leo, helping him navigate the crowded jet bridge with Finn still asleep in his arms. At the baggage claim, they finally said their goodbyes. "It was lovely meeting you, Leo," Amelia said, her smile warm. "And you too, Finn." She gently touched Finn's cheek. "You're a strong dad. Don't ever forget that." Her words resonated deeply within Leo. He watched as she walked towards her sister, a sense of gratitude and hope filling him. He met his parents at the arrivals gate, their faces etched with concern. "Leo, are you all right?" "We heard there was some turbulence," his mother exclaimed, rushing towards him. "We're fine, Mom," Leo reassured her. "We had a little help." He didn't elaborate, but as he looked down at his sleeping son, a small smile touched his lips. He knew that the kindness of a stranger on a plane had changed everything, not just for that difficult journey, but perhaps for the journey ahead as well. The following weeks in Boston were a whirlwind of adjusting to being back home, reconnecting with family, and navigating the daily challenges of single parenthood. But amidst the exhaustion and the grief, Leo found himself often thinking about Amelia. They exchanged text messages occasionally, checking in on each other. Leo learned that her sister's surgery had gone well and that she was recovering steadily. Amelia often asked about Finn, and Leo would send her pictures and updates. One rainy afternoon, Leo found himself staring out the window, feeling a familiar wave of loneliness wash over him. He picked up his phone and sent Amelia a text, "Thinking of you. Hope you're doing well." A few minutes later, his phone buzzed with a reply, "Thinking of you too, Leo. How about that coffee we talked about? I'm free next Saturday." Leo's heart skipped a beat. He hadn't expected her to suggest meeting up. A surge of excitement mixed with a healthy dose of nervousness coursed through him. They met at a small, cozy cafe near Amelia's sister's house. Finn, now a little more settled, sat happily in his stroller, gurgling and playing with his toys. Leo and Amelia talked for hours, their conversation flowing easily. They discovered shared interests in books, movies, and a surprising mutual appreciation for bad puns. Leo felt a sense of ease and connection with Amelia that he hadn't felt with anyone since Sarah. She was a good listener, offering insightful observations and genuine empathy. She didn't try to fill the void left by Sarah, but rather offered a new kind of friendship, one that was supportive, understanding, and refreshingly uncomplicated. Over the next few months, Leo and Amelia's friendship blossomed. They met for coffee regularly, went for walks in the park with Finn, and even had a few casual dinners together. Amelia became a trusted confidant, someone Leo could confide in about his struggles and his hopes for the future. She offered practical advice on raising Finn, sharing tips and tricks she had learned from her own experiences. She never judged Leo's parenting decisions, but rather offered gentle guidance and encouragement. Finn, too, seemed to have a special connection with Amelia. He would often reach out for her, his face lighting up when she held him. Leo found comfort in seeing Finn interact so positively with someone who was not family. One evening, as they were having dinner at Leo's parents' house, his mother remarked, "Amelia, you've been such a wonderful friend to Leo. We're so grateful for you." Amelia smiled warmly. "It's my pleasure. Leo's a great dad, and Finn is a joy." Leo felt a warmth spread through him. He realized how much Amelia's presence had enriched his life and Finn's. Her initial act of kindness on the plane had created a ripple effect, bringing light and connection into a time of darkness and isolation. He knew that Amelia could never replace Sarah, and he wouldn't want her to. But she had shown him that it was possible to find connection and support in unexpected places, that even in the midst of grief, there was still room for friendship and hope. As time went on, Leo's feelings for Amelia began to evolve. He admired her kindness, her strength, and her unwavering support. He found himself looking forward to their time together, and he cherished their conversations and shared moments. He noticed the way she interacted with Finn, the genuine affection in her eyes, and the natural ease with which she cared for him. He started to imagine a future where Amelia was more than just a friend, a future where they could build a life together, filled with love, laughter, and shared experiences. He was hesitant at first, unsure if he was ready to move on, unsure if it was fair to Sarah's memory. But as he watched Amelia playing with Finn in the park one sunny afternoon, her laughter echoing through the air, he realized that Sarah would have wanted him to find happiness again. She would have wanted Finn to have a loving and supportive figure in his life. He decided to take a leap of faith. One evening, after putting Finn to bed, Leo invited Amelia to stay for a while. They sat on the porch swing, the evening air cool and still. "Amelia," Leo began, his voice a little nervous. I wanted to tell you how much your friendship has meant to me. You came into our lives at a time when we really needed someone, and you've been such an incredible support." Amelia listened patiently, her gaze soft and understanding. Leo took a deep breath. And I think my feelings for you have grown into something more. I know it might be too soon, and I wouldn't want to pressure you, but—" He trailed off, his heart pounding in his chest. Amelia reached out and took his hand, her touch gentle but firm. "Leo," she said softly, her eyes filled with emotion, "my feelings for you have grown too." A wave of relief and joy washed over Leo. He couldn't stop the smile that spread across his face. They talked for a long time that night, sharing their hopes and dreams for the future. They knew that it wouldn't be easy, that there would be challenges to overcome, but they were both willing to take the journey together. Over the next year, their relationship deepened. Amelia gradually became an integral part of Leo and Finn's lives. She moved in with them, bringing her warmth and love into their home. Finn grew to adore her, calling her Mia, his little voice filled with affection. Leo found happiness again, a different kind of happiness than he had shared with Sarah, but a deep and fulfilling happiness nonetheless. He knew that Sarah would always hold a special place in his heart, but he also knew that he was allowed to love again. Amelia's kindness on that fateful flight had not only changed a difficult day but had ultimately changed the course of their lives. It was a testament to the power of human connection, the selflessness of a stranger, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. Years later, Leo and Amelia would often recount the story of their first meeting on the plane. They would laugh about Finn's epic meltdown and marvel at the unexpected twist of fate that had brought them together. And as they looked at their blended family, their love for each other evident in their eyes, they would remember the simple act of kindness that had changed everything, a reminder that even in the midst of life's turbulence, hope and love can always take flight.